Okay, I guess we can start a minute earlier. So welcome again. As we said, this webinar, we consider it a very important webinar and in a way a strategic webinar in the sense that there is a revolution happening out there in the market in the way that search is being conducted. And we wanted to update you and we wanted to show you how to best deal with this. So basically, I'm sure all of you or most of you are aware of this change, but the introduction of chat type tools basically change to a large extent the way people are searching. And instead of just typing a keyword, people start to write more long tail or more conversational type queries, whether they type it or whether they actually voice it and it's translated into a text. In any case, it's a very long sentence and it's a question of some sort which they want to get an answer for. So this is basically the revolution, and tools like that are becoming much more prevalent. Now, having said that, it's still the beginning and there's still a long way to go before they become the most dominant factor. In fact, today, Google still dominates this market despite the fact that they're experiencing difficulties and they're undergoing changes themselves. But the majority of searches today are still Google related, and this is the dominant platform which drives organic traffic. Having said that, ChatGPT and other chats are gaining momentum very quickly. And not just in terms of volume, but also in terms of recognition and usage. And in fact, more than 16% of normal searches also use ChatGPT, and this is growing, as you see, very significantly. So it's quite clear that the change is happening very quickly. And the objective of this webinar is to adapt the website infrastructure or whatever needs to be done to be able to rank also in the ChatGPTs, and we have some new techniques and new functions that we would like to share with you and generally explain to you how this would work. So the first thing that we need to be aware of, that this is the traditional way search results were done, which is a position 1, 2, 3, 4 sequentially going down, which is basically encompassing what's called a search snippet view. This is what Google displays, for example, in search results traditionally. And in terms of ChatGPT, basically, and Google rich results, etc., it provides an answer alongside other data. So it varies whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, but in general, the results are translated into a longer reply. And in this longer reply, basically, you would have a ranking of some sort, whether it's a link in this place or whether it's a list of websites that provide or were used to collect this information. So generally, there is a shift in how the data is displayed, ranked. We need to adapt ourselves to fit in this. Now, if you would ask yourself to try to summarize what are the main influencing factors that basically the ranking for this, then there's a list of items that we would like to share with you. The first thing is because in ChatGPT style applications, usually a question is being asked. Therefore, in order to rank in chat AIs, you need to have content that is structured in a similar way to answer a question. So it's called conversational questions, and it needs to be integrated as much as possible into the web page content. Now, we're not saying that all the website needs to be like that, but a certain amount of pages or topical frameworks within the website needs to contain this type of questions and answers in a way. The second thing is that search queries are not gone yet. And they need to also appear in a strategic way on those pages. So the combination of questions and keywords still needs to be relevant and present both in the web page content and both in the meta tags and both in all elements that relate to it. So optimizing the meta tags for these conversational questions in addition to the web page content itself is also very important. The next thing, which was always there, but now it's becoming much more dominant, is that both search engines and AI chats, they rely more and more on structured data, which is called schema markups. And because they don't want to make mistakes, they want to be sure what data is actually being displayed, and having more schema markup data allows the search engines and the chat applications to rely more on the data that they're displaying, and therefore they favor it more and more. That includes answering questions, facts, how to do things, the author relationship, the organization, products, reviews, etc. The other thing that you need to take care of is the author and trust signals, which are becoming more and more. It's called EAT. It might be called in other apps differently, but to make sure that the person or the entity that provides this data on your website is recognized. So having during the days that there were no individuals, no people listed on the website, is becoming less and less attractive to these chat and search engines. They want to know who wrote the data and whether it's a trustable person, and whether they're an expert or not, in order to rank them higher. The other things that are kind of working in the background, some of them are more technical, some of them are less, is of course having an internal linking structure that promotes and pushes the topical authority and pushes the pages that are stronger towards the results. And an interesting thing is that some robots.txt files by default, they block crawlers of AIs, of AI chats. So you need to adapt your robot.txt file to allow these crawlers. XML sitemaps are still relevant, but they also need to be submitted to other search engines such as Bing. We'll discuss this a little bit later. And the same things of speed, core web vitals have always been important and are now not less important in order to allow good user experience. So all of these things together amount up to the possibility to rank higher, both with search engines and both in chat AI answers. So this was just a summary of what needs to be done. And what sets Nytro apart from other systems is that we don't just provide recommendations. We actually do, or we try to do, as much as possible automatically. And of course, we are evolving all the time. We are adapting our systems all the time. But what we would like to show you today is how we can optimize a good chunk of what we just described now, and the rest is in process of development, how we can do that using the Nytro system and benchmarking your websites in a better position in search engines. So first of all, if you have any questions, feel free to interject at any time during the presentation. We actually have a short poll, which we would display in a minute. Did you release the poll, Dima?
Yes, now I will release it.
Okay, perfect. So that's just some questions to see your feedback, to get your feedback. And what we'll do now, we'll go into the demo. Okay, so I'm sure you're all familiar with Nytro systems. What you haven't seen yet is, in a sense, some new functionality that enables us to automatically analyze and create conversational questions that can be then used in the meta tags to optimize the pages. And the way it works is the following. So basically every keyword in the system also have the ability to take a look at conversational questions that are related to it. This is supported data. Yeah. So we automatically generate, analyze, and create conversational questions for all the keywords that are monitored and promoted. If you don't see any data, it's because the keyword is not promoted, so it doesn't generate data for keywords that are not promoted. But for keywords that are promoted, yes, okay. You can see the conversational question here, and basically we can then go to the pages, and for example, we can go into a set of pages that we want to take a look at. And we can see all the conversational questions that, all the keywords that have been identified as relevant to this page, the relevance by Google, their score to the page content, and the suggestion for conversational questions that might be suitable for them in order to be integrated into the text, into the meta tags. So if we go to the meta tags, we can then see the generated meta tags. We can see the rules that were used to create this. And you can see that we took an example here of adding a conversational question. It's very easy to add this. Now I'm showing it on a single page, but we can also do this for the entire website. I'll show you in a minute how to do that. So once the system runs, it creates the conversational questions. And then you just need to go into add new, and you just add a conversational question. I've just added it here. And then you can decide which one of the conversational questions you prefer to add. Yeah, and there's multiple versions and propositions that would be suitable for this. And basically, it's also shown here. And basically, once it's added, it will be integrated into the structure of the page. Now, we need to be strategic in the way we use the conversational questions. First of all, it needs to be very relevant to the web page content. So you can't just add a question to a page that has no relevancy. So we also score the conversational questions. You see them here. So we measure how relevant the conversational question is to the page content. And we only use it if it's relevant enough and if it brings value and if it answers the user search intent in order to be optimized. Now, we're also using other parameters from the page, like the headers and like business name, etc. So all of this information is strategically used, analyzed by the AI engine, and then eventually the meta tags, whether it's a description or a title, are being generated. And here you can see the results. You can play with this as much as you want. By the way, of course, you can also add user search intent data, such as you can then decide if you want to add this in. Now, we generally recommend to choose one of these elements, whether it's a user search intent parameter or whether it's conversational, just not to overload the tags too much. So strategically, you need to choose one of them in order to be consistent and create converting meta tags. Now, this was done for a single page. We can also go to settings, and then we can go and apply this site-wide. So we can take an example for these 230 pages. We chose a certain set of URLs, and we apply the conversational question in auto mode, meaning the system will choose the best conversational question with the best score, with the best relevancy to the web page automatically. And it will be integrated into the flow of the, in this case, description. In other cases, it can also be done in the title. Again, adding it here to the rule is very simple, just like I showed before, like this. And then you can decide which one you want to add. And then all you need to do is just apply and refresh the system, and it will be applied across the entire website. Of course, there's no limit to how many pages you do this. And you can customize and decide to have different rules for different sections. For different sections, to blog, you want a different set of rules. To resources, you want a different set of rules, etc. So it's very customizable and can be applied in any scenario. Okay, once it runs, then all the meta tags will change, and we can take a look at the meta tags. In this, we are only showing the conversational question, but we can decide to see the meta tags that were created. Yeah, so you can see here. These were the meta tags that were created, including the conversational questions, of course. And then you can review it, just decide whether you like it or not. It's always good to look at the meta tags. You can see here some of the conversational questions were entered. So basically what it does is it enables the search engine to have better understanding of what the issues are, what questions this page or what question this page is address, and then display them accordingly. Now, this is, of course, using existing pages data. So we did not customize the pages to be conversational ready. So basically, our system can take any website, review it, and then decide which pages qualify or which pages can be used for the conversational questions. Of course, not all pages qualify. Some pages will just simply not have enough content or does not address a question that can be answered in a conversational way. And therefore, it will be applied only to those pages that qualify. Now, having said that, I'd like to show an example of a page that was created to be optimal, because we believe that in order to really rank higher, especially at this slot of opportunity, you also need to create content or to change your content strategy to be more favorable to that. So if I'll take a look at this page, it's a new page, a new blog post. Actually, guys, can you share it in the chat, please? This link. And basically, we'll show you now what has been created in this page and what are the good or the best practices to create content that would have a chance to rank higher in both in organic and both in Google search and both in AI chats. So first of all, you would see that there is some kind of a question in the title. Of course, you don't have to have a question in the title, but it's recommended. You can have questions in subsequent headers going down, etc. And the more you address the same topic in different ways, the better it is. Now, as far as frequently asked questions or fact, a page can have one primary question to answer. So you have to focus and decide which is the main questions you're answering. And in this particular case, we chose this set of answers to this topic that we're displaying here. And this set of questions is also schema marked up. Now, basically what it means is that if I'll go into our system, we can request to see what is the rich results schema markup. You see here, you can choose and say, show me all the schema markup for this particular page. Basically, we go into a Google tool and we ask the tool to tell us and analyze the code. Of course, it's generic and it applies. You can also log into this tool separately, not through our system. And basically, you can see what kind of schema markup there are here. First of all, it's classified as an article, but this is by default done in most CMSs, also the breadcrumbs in most cases. But this is the most relevant one to the rankings, which is the fact schema. Yes, unnamed is normal, it's not an error. And basically, in the background, we have a schema markup that says what is the question and what is the answer for each one of those questions that we showed here. And having this schema markup allows both the search engine and the AI chats to be confident that they're displaying results that are correct. And this is why they prefer this style of schema markup. And we highly recommend to start using that more and more, because we believe that this would be a much more dominant factor. And the more schema markups, which is called structured data, you would have on your web pages that is relevant to the topic, you would have higher and better success rates in both in traditional and in the upcoming engines. Now, the type of schema markups that you have are comprised of multiple schema markups. You can have only one fact, but you can also have, in addition, a how-to, which is a steps, which is also very useful, and it also comes up in rich results, which is what I showed you here. So, as I said, you need to choose one set of questions that are the primary questions, and then you can have another how-to if you want, or just it's enough to have one or the other. The other thing that would definitely recommend to add is a bio of the author. So in this particular case, it's myself. Now, structured data for author does exist, but it's not analyzed in the Google search display. But Google does read that, and search and ChatGPT does read that, and they do give this power. And if you remember before, we talked about what's called EEAT, this giving more activeness, and having the actual author or an expert talking about the topics that is recognizable, that has an entity on the web, that has links on the web. is becoming more and more relevant because Google doesn't want to rank content that is not reliable or does not have an authority primary fact question, but at the same time, you can address in your document multiple questions. Of course, you don't have to. It's always good to be focused, but this particular case, the topic talks about several questions, and it's part about the schema markup, which again, we believe it's more relevant and should be done more. Yes, so this is the basic principle of what needs to be done when you create new content. Structure it well, address questions. This particular question, we're talking about SEO, but it can be about any topic, and have enough of these pages that will create a topical authority around this topic. So you need to have enough questions around this topic with enough content that would cause the search engines and the chats to rank you. Yeah, so this was kind of a high-level explanation of how the system works. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. And structured data FAQ is my thoughts on every page. Yes, I mean, you don't have to have a FAQ on every page, only those that qualify. And the good thing about our system is that it will not show you, it will not suggest or propose to add FAQ to every page. In fact, we can go into the search filters, here, and we can ask to go to the meta tags and show me all pages that are missing the conversational questions, for example. Missing conversational questions, for example, meaning that it did not qualify. Or on the contrary, we can also look at the ones that do have. Yeah, so a lot of them, as you can see here, did not qualify for conversational questions. They do have very good tags, by the way, using other means, but it's not in the form of a question. And this is the right way to address it. You cannot force conversational questions to any page. You need to have the right context and not to appear to be forcing or coercing the page to something that it's not there. We can also go and say the opposite, show me all the ones with. Yeah, and in this particular case, it can be either in the meta title or in the description. Basically, this is how you would manage. And the scoring that you see here, the green, we have two types of score. One type of score is for the keyword search term, and the other one is for the conversational question. So basically, it's very easy to see whether the page is has good tags or not, because the relevancy, for example, this is a score for the conversational question. Immediately you can see that it's very good. Likewise, the keyword score, ChatGPT search is a keyword that we are promoting and we're ranking. So everything is tied together. It's essential to have the keywords in the system because there are many indicators that you can only collect. If you have a keyword, you measure SERP, you measure acceptance, you measure how it interacts with different pages and how the data is basically relating to your website. So having the keywords themselves is essential in order to implement the conversational questions also. Yes, let's see what other questions we may have. How do you change or update your text file on bots? You mean maybe robot.txt? Yes. Yes, so editing the robot.txt is fairly simple. You do it through your CMS usually, or with some tools. There is a lot of documentation on how to do that. You just go to Google search, how to edit my robot.txt file. Yeah. Yes, so you just go into one of these. They explain how to do it. It's very simple. However, there are certain nuances that you need to take care of for chatbots. So this is how it just provides you with instructions. There are crawlers that are associated more with chat bots. You just need to enable them to make sure that they're not blocked. Yeah, let's continue. Yes, someone is asking about the image alts. So basically, image alts, the way we optimize image alts is for search engines and search results. So we look at any page that we have here, and basically we would add to the original image alt We go to inspect. Oops, actually, we have it here. Yes. Yes. So yeah. So this, for example, this image alt is an image we added. We did not touch its alt, and it generated automatically this this related text, which combines both keywords that relate to this page, and we use this. Let's look at this one. This one, for example. Yes. So all of this is the text that we created automatically. If there is existing image alts, or for example, let's say you worked and manually wrote or got the data relating to the images, we don't overwrite this. We just add the relevant keywords. At the end of the day, a lot of image alt data is not very useful for search engines, and we are only adding data that is useful in the form of relevancy to the keywords, relevancy to the page content. So I hope this explains how the image alt works. Yes, by the way, we have not released this yet, but we're about to release also OG titles, OG descriptions, and OG image alts. When you share a page in social media, you have an image, you have title, we have descriptions. So we're also going to introduce this shortly, and we'll have a separate webinar on that. And also it will be part of the data that is being optimized here. So you would be able to see, in this particular case, of course, it's not implemented, but you would be able to see the OG image data, OG title, for example. I'm not sure that it will display. Yeah, it does display. Yeah, so you're able to optimize also what you share on social media. It's becoming more and more relevant, and it can be the same or it can be different. You need to decide. Of course, our system takes the decisions automatically, but it's customizable. You can decide if you want to have another version for variety and for more effectiveness. Okay, let's see what was link for polls. Okay, I'm not sure what the question about the polls. Did everyone get the poll? Okay, is it being received? And do meta tags have enough space for the conversational questions? Very good. This is a very good question, actually. The question was, do conversational questions can be slotted into a title and description? Very good questions. I actually like this. And I kind of talked about it a little bit. So if you see here, in this particular case, we did not add to the title a conversational question because of size limitation. Because in this particular case, there is already a question in the title, but it might not have been that. The only thing we did, we added to the description as a second position, conversational question. So basically, it will take the headline, and then it will take the conversational question. So we are controlling where we're positioning the conversational question. If we'll put it more towards the end, it will be used less. So because of size limitations, the chances of using it across a wider set of pages is being reduced. The more you put it closer to the beginning of the title, at the beginning of the sentence, then it will be used more. Now, of course, with description, you have more flexibility. With titles, you have less. But at the same time, you can decide whether you want to push it towards the beginning. Now, nothing happens even if you would put it here. It will still keep the size limitations. It will take decisions about how to structure the sentence. If it can use it, it will use it. If it cannot use it, it will not use it. So it kind of tries to deal with this by itself, but in some cases, it will not be able to use it unless you change the order and you give it more priority. Basically, this is, you give priority to the element you want to have more dominant in the tag, basically. I hope that addresses the question. And also, as I said before, you can simply go in and take a look and see what it looks like and just see whether it makes sense for you, the way it's structured, the way it looks, and whether it's appealing. And you can also see only the descriptions. Okay. Yeah, I'll need to revert you. But in general, we have a list of all the keywords, do it more. But you can see under search intent and conversational questions, we can see the list of the conversational questions here. And here you can choose the one that is like your default one. So if you change this one, this will be the one that is being used in the tag for this particular keyword. You can also edit it if you don't like it. If you think it's not suitable, you can mark it as default or remove it, and you can add a new one if you think you want something else. So it's fully configurable. Of course, it does it all automatically. You don't have to do this. There's a lot of calculations, parameters, AI, logic that goes into it. So unless you really don't like what you see or you want to change the order, you can. But in general, we would not recommend changing it too much because it also relies on the scoring of the page, and there's a lot of computations in the background. But here is the list, and you can definitely make changes. This is what you see in the rules later on as optional conversational questions to this topic. Yes, of course, the webinar will be shared after the call, of course. And as I said, you can book a call if you need any help in implementing it. How to create a schema markup. Okay, this is a little bit more complicated. Basically, the way to do it is basically to create what's called a JSON file. So if I would go into, let's just do something else, 1 minute. Yes, let's just choose this one as an example. So I'm choosing some kind of a question and answer. This is the question, these are the answers. And basically you would go to ChatGPT. I think it's true, but but ChatGPT thinks it's true. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Okay, you can see it here. So it's generating this code, and then you copy this code, and let me show you how you implement it into the CMS itself. So I would go into edit mode here. So basically, it's not part of the content itself. It's part of the code. It's not visible. Only the search engines and the bots read it. You see these little 3 files? These are the JSON files. So you need to add raw JS container. And if you edit this, this is the JSON file. This is where you paste that code that you just showed here. By the way, it's incomplete, this code, but that's not the issue. It needs to have an opening script, a closing script. But the principle is that you would add it here and you would save it. And once you've done that, you can check the implementation and save it and update this. And then it will appear in the web page code. You can check the structured data, etc. This needs to be done today manually for every single page. And the good news is that we have plans to automate this in future releases. So you can do this across many pages automatically. In addition to many other developments that are in the pipe right now that are really breakthrough, because to do what I just did now and to also deal with ChatGPT and other chats that produce incorrect results, this is not a complete code, for example. So if you paste this one, it will not work. And to control it and to make sure it's visible and working correctly, it's really very time consuming. But this is how you would actually do that. And in this particular case, we have 3 JSON codes that we added. Some of them I showed you before. So this is how it works. Let's see what other questions you have. Yes, okay. So someone is asking about our content generator, prompt generator. So this is something that we've been, and then we generate content. And basically, we have a content generator. It's not the application that generates the content. We create a prompt, which you can then pass into ChatGPT, Claude, and other systems. In this particular case, it's our ChatGPT link. And basically, if you would, here you define what kind of article you want, language, length, etc., whether it's a how-to guide or whatever you want. These are the keywords that are being used. You can change primary. Now, this is very important because it tells the generator where to focus. So you need to define one of them. We also pass the user search intent to be able to create much better document. A lot of these content generators, they just take a keyword and they start to create content, but it has it doesn't have context to your website enough. In our particular case, we give a lot of vendor information and other data that allows this generation to be much more effective and much more related to your specific section. We also pass the target audience and allow you to put special instructions. And then when you generate, it basically will take all that prompt and it will generate a document that relates specifically to your website. In fact, you see here we're searching the web. We're looking for all those keywords. We're identifying all the pages that rank high for these keywords, and then we reconstruct based on those pages that are ranking high, that competition, we are constructing a new document that has the characteristic and the potential to rank also higher. And many of the content generators, they don't do that. They just try to build a document without understanding the environment behind it. And the primary keywords and the other keywords are actually integrated into that. Now, at the moment, this is the prompt that we are proposing for generating data. But in the future, we'll have more prompts to do more things, and this is definitely part of what we are developing and continuing to develop. Let's see what else we have here. Yes, so someone asked if there's plans to have structured data. Yes, that we will have this on the roadmap. We have this on the roadmap. Yes, okay. So this is a very good question now, and I'll just repeat that. Does Nytro tracks whether web pages is appearing in ChatGPT or not? Okay, so what we do have at the moment is what's called Bing SERPing. And apparently, because of competition between Perplexity and ChatGPT, they're not using Google data. So they partnered with Microsoft Bing. So Bing ranking is highly representative of your ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc. ranking. So there's a correlation. I'm not saying that it's one-to-one, but it's most likely will be correlated. So you can add from the search engines, you can add here Bing. Yeah, you just add a new search engine, up to 3 you can, according to your plan. And this would be highly representative. And we do measure which pages are being ranked, which keywords are being ranked, just like we do for all the others. Let me show you. So if we would go into this particular page, in this particular keyword, you can see the ranking for those pages. I see in this particular case, this is this first page position. So yes, the answer is yes. At some point, we may have ranking specifically crawling and getting results directly from the chat, but it's not implemented yet and it's not developed yet. Let's see what's the next one. Yes, of course, some of these features are not released yet. What has been released is the conversational questions. So if you go into here, this tab here, you would already see on your application all this data that you see here, which is the user search intent, 2 versions of that, which is the short version. Again, because of limitations of space, we allow 2 versions, long and short, to be added, and the related conversational questions, which, by the way, they may change based on the page. So this one might fit one page and this one might fit another page. So it's done automatically, basically. Okay, let's see what else. Yes, it's a question about the internal linking. Yes, the internal linking is work in progress, definitely. It's a very robust and product that needs integrating a lot of functionality, and it's being developed. But we will definitely let you know once it's released. The internal linking would basically use intelligence linking specific keywords to pages. So basically, we know, if we take a look at this particular keyword, for example, we already know which pages. Yes, we need to be here. Yes, so if we take yes, we can take a page, and we know which keywords relate to it. Here, we know which keywords are relating to it, and therefore we can decide if we identify a specific keyword on a page or a sentence on a page, we know where to direct it to. What is the most valuable place to direct keywords? So, for example, let's say we're looking at this page, and we'll see something like EEAT experience. Then we'll know to which other page on the website to direct it to very intelligently. Most of the tools you would see out there in the market, they just do it based on rules. Basically, they search for this term somewhere and they just point to it without any scoring and relevancy and understanding of the web page, which from our experience is better than nothing, but not close to what you need to do. And our system will do this based on AI, which is really a revolution in the sense that it's doing it intelligently to build topical authority. I'll definitely let you know once we release this. Doesn't have strict enforcement of the length. Yes. Okay. This is a very good question. The question is that there isn't a strict enforcement of the length of the title and description, but there are recommendations. For example, it's recommended to have you can see it here, the settings. There is settings here of the length of the title, length of the description, etc. And the question is, do you need to be strict in the length, or you need to be more flexible, or you can choose to be more flexible? And our strategy is to allow more flexibility at this time. I mean, you can decide to make it less. The reason you provide more flexibility is because of two things. First of all, as you remember, we have control over the structure of the meta tags, so we can decide to put the more important parameters at the beginning. And we can say put the keyword at the beginning or put the conversational question at the beginning. And what happens is that this creates a search snippet view that we can control what appears at the beginning of the search snippet view. And eventually, this is what the user sees, this part, let's say, even if it's more than 60 characters or more than that. What is actually being seen is this part here. And we control and we ensure that the important converting elements, whether the keywords, whether user search intent, whether the conversational questions, they appear as much as possible at the beginning. And this is why using our system, you don't have to be as strict, because if you restrict it more and more, your ability to create a meaningful optimization is reduced dramatically. And we do know that Google and other crawlers, also the AI crawlers, they read the entire meta descriptions and titles and all the data that is structured data. And maybe they will not display it necessarily in the results, but they read it. So this is our suggestion, to be more flexible. And also you can check this by just taking a look at your meta tags to see whether they are, for example, the title, of course, is much more restrictive in size, but you can just decide that you want to take a look at the titles and see. So you go here and say, show me just the titles. Yeah, and then you can just see the titles that were generated, whether they make sense to you or not, like this. But in some cases, they're longer, but you can see whether they're cut somewhere here, and you can see whether it makes sense for a reader or a searcher to see the data and understand the data. Yes. Oh, this is a very good question again. Can I see the tags by length? Yes. The answer is yes. Just I'll add this here. So we added very intelligent filter recently, and you can go to the filter section here, and you can filter by many different parameters, including meta tags length. Yes, you see here, optimize title length. So you can show me all the ones that are longer than something or shorter than something, any way you want to show them. And it's very useful because you can also show me all the pages that don't have meta tags or have very short meta tags. And it's very common in CMSs to generate a lot of junk pages or category pages or pages without content. So this is a way for you to find them. So this is a good question. Thank you for that. Yes, another question about the length. Yes, sometimes the search results show longer. Yeah, so this supports what we just said. We go here. Search results below. Yeah. Sometimes they just allow more characters, and we do believe that it's useful to have longer data here because they often show it. By the way, we also measure something that is very useful. It's called the meta tags that are actually being used. So let's just take this one and go to the bottom here, page search engine snippets. You can see here for each query that was submitted to Google in this particular case, what was displayed to the user who searched. And it's often changed based on the query. In this particular case, I don't see a lot of changes, but for other keywords, we see a lot of variance. So for one keyword, you might see one title. For another keyword, you might see another title, etc. So it's all measured, and it's all part of our AI calculations also. So when we do the processing, we analyze all this entire set of data in order to determine whether to keep this keyword here, whether it's ranking or not ranking, whether it needs some amendments. Let's just see what else we have. Yes, the feature is live. Yes, structured data is not being released. It's not available. And there is no such function at the moment that creates structured data. The only thing that there's in the market is creating very primitive structured data, for example, for an article or for an author, but it really, its contribution to SEO is very limited. I mean, every post has a structured data for an article, but it doesn't really help necessarily in promoting. So you need to be it needs to be much more useful in order to for the search engine to rely on it. So real structured data is frequently asked questions, how to do steps, author, and other signals that you need to integrate. And this is currently not released, but it's something that we're working on. Yes, so this concludes the questions. Let's see if I missed anything. Vlad, Dima, any suggestions that or something we missed that we can address? Guys, if there's anyone that wants to ask questions, yes, we're open to asking questions. Let's just see. Yeah, so the floor is up. If anyone wants to ask questions, can you just raise your hand and I'll enable it? Yes, Dima, you started to say that there is some questions.
Actually, I wanted to say that I don't have.
I see here Ken. Yes, hello, Ken. Yes, let me enable Ken. Oh, nice to see you, Ken. You can speak. Try to speak, Ken. Yes, hello there.
Okay, great. Hey, Lee, nice to see you.
Absolutely, Ken.
My question is the interlinking module that's being worked on, is that going to have the ability? Sorry, I can hear myself in my headphones.
No, I can hear you fine.
It's going to have the ability to link on a semantic basis as opposed to a keyword basis.
It's not linking. Yes, the answer is yes. It's not linking on keyword basis, which is what I just said before. Most systems out there, they just search for the keyword on that page. And if they see the keyword on that page, they would link to that page. So our strategy is totally different. We have understanding of the entire website pages. We know, we take into account many different factors, indicators, including external factors such as what's Google's view on the specific page, on a specific list of pages for a specific term. And we factor everything into kind of a score, which based on that score, we eventually determine which pages to direct to which pages based on those keywords. So that's the idea. It's not purely the existence of a keyword, but of course, at the end of the day, keywords are the basis for which we measure it.
It's a combination of the Google data and cosine similarity.
Let me just give you an example. Some of the data that we showed here in the system, let me just go to a keyword. Yes, so let's go to a keyword like, yeah. Yes, so you see here, there's a factor called Google relevance. You see this here? Oh, I'm projecting, right, or not? Let me see if I'm not projecting. Can you see my screen, Ken?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. I think I just, can you see my screen, Ken?
Yes, okay.
Okay, perfect. So you see, I just pulled any keyword from the system. I can see its rank in different search engines. I can also see relevancy factors external. This is an example of one that we display, but we have hundreds. And this particular one says, what's Google's external view of every single page in your website for this specific keyword? So this is factored into this score that you see here. It's not just content score. There is a lot of external parameters that go into the scoring. So basically, we know which one of those pages has the most power or the least power, which we want to move from one page to a page that we want to give power to. And this is how it works. So
This is excellent.
Yes, this score, by the way, has also semantic scoring in it. It has a lot of scoring. I mean, in order to reach a situation where you can make this intelligently, by the way, also by the assignment, you need to understand the semantics of the page. So the answer is yes, and it's pretty complicated, I can tell you that. This is why it's taking a little bit longer than we thought originally. But we're definitely working on that, and it's definitely going to be fairly powerful and interesting. And it's all integrated into the same infrastructure of keywords, pages. And it's just going to be another module that will do that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple other possibilities with that data that I would love to have personally. Is one is when I'm upgrading a website to a different structure, to create semantic-based forwarding on a page basis.
Okay, so you're talking about redirecting an old page to a new page in the new website.
Yes.
That's a very interesting concept. By the way, we are a part of our page manage section is and will be handling indexing issues. It's not released yet. And indexing issues also contain issues of and take actions regarding redirections. We can also take actions regarding follow or non-follow, indexing or non-indexing. And this is something that we will be doing as a separate module. But your suggestion about automatically redirecting certain pages to other pages based on their correlation to that other page is something that very interesting feature. Thank you for that. We will definitely consider this. Of course, it's very important not to do it too aggressively because you never know. You never know whether you're right or wrong. At the end of the day, there are bigger players out there that may think differently. But definitely, all of what we do, we have this strategy. We try to do it automatically, but at the same time, we give you the flexibility to customize it because it needs to be. It needs to work in reality. So this is why we take this strategy. But it's a very interesting concept, and I will definitely take a look at that.
And one last quick one.
Sure.
I had to write my own program for this. I'd love it to be incorporated into in your amazing product. I look at competitors' structured data, and then I retrieve it, and then I reverse engineer all the data that needs to be entered. And then I have at least as much as the top competitors' structured data. We use SEO processor to see what's going on.
Yes. So just like we have here metadata, we will also have structured data. And the structured data will allow you to see the structured data that you have on your own pages. So basically, it will allow you to see which pages qualify for structured data. So if we read the web page content automatically, we will be able to compile structured data automatically for those pages. And we'll be able to display that structured data that we're proposing, and then you can enable it and it will automatically generate the code for that structured data into the pages. Now, some things we can do easily, some things less. Whether we will analyze competitor structured data or not, I cannot say at this point whether we'll do that, but I think the most basic parameters is whether the page that you actually have qualifies, because if you have thousands of pages, you cannot go back and do it automatically. When you create a new page, you might be able to research this and say, I would like to see what's happening out there. So it's a different strategy for existing pages and for new pages. But in any case, you need automation. Whether it's you need to see what competitors are doing that are ranking on first page, or you just optimize your web pages to the maximum, because we have the concept that go ahead, do everything. Why try to make just a few of them? Go do the entire website, make the most of every single page you can, give it the maximum potential it has automatically, So it couldn't hurt you if you have the possibility to make to logically have a fact entered as a schema automatically. Why not? Whether Google will accept it and rank you first page, we don't know, but it probably will rank you better than what it did before. So that's the idea. But yeah, you raise very good proposals, Ken, and please feel free to reach out directly to me at any time.
Absolutely.
Or to our team.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very happy to have this discussion, and we're very happy to get feedback on anything. And anyone that wants to be part of our beta programs is also welcome. Let's see if we have any other questions. I think, okay, Anthony, so whenever you're ready, go ahead and ask.
Testing.
Yes, Anthony, hi.
Oh, okay. How you doing? I'm a newbie.
Great.
I love your application. I've been using it for a while. Quick question I have. I wasn't aware of the alt tag feature. Is that something I have to turn on? And are there any YouTube videos I can watch to kind of learn how to set that up?
Yes. Actually, it's usually turned on by default. You see it here. It's usually turned on by default, unless you turned it off. So it should be doing it. You can always check.
Will that work correctly on a WordPress website? Because most of my sites are WordPress.
Absolutely. WordPress is
that's a big problem.
And I can show you how you can test this. If there's any issue, you can let us know. Just go. You can use any plugin just to see the code. There is an image. It shows you the rendered code. So you need to use a tool that shows rendered code. So let me launch this page again. Yeah, you just go here and you use some kind of a plugin. Yeah. So you see this has all been generated by our system. All this alt images, and it contains the keywords, and it's natural structured. So we're not trying to describe the picture itself. We don't think there is any contribution to SEO in doing that. There are tools that allow you to do it. Sorry?
I agree with you. Definitely, the words you use are much better.
Yeah. You can, by the way, have a description. There are apps that would say a man looking at his phone in future, so and so. So if you generate this, you will have it in the tag by using a plugin for that, and then we add the optimized data to that. It's also a possibility. We didn't see any difference, but it's possible to do it, and it will work in tandem because we don't delete whatever is there. We just add ours to it.
One last question. I purchased the AppSumo Tier 4.
Sure.
I regret not going full stack. Were you guys coming back again so I can load up?
Yes, we are planning to come back.
Fantastic.
And, yes, absolutely. And yeah, absolutely. We're more than happy to help you with that. It's many people after some time they choose to upgrade. And yeah, would love to have you upgrade.
This was one of the best buys on AppSumo that I've ever purchased, and I've been with them since the start.
Amazing.
Yes.
I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much, guys. Great team.
Thank you so much, Anthony.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's see if we kind of if there's any others that want to talk. If not, then I think that we can conclude. Yeah, I think we can conclude. So thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure.